Yep. So tell me, I think that this week was your first week in the campus for the in-person courses. How it was? Gerson, how it was?
It was good to be back.
Really?
Yeah.
So you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did.
So do you think that the university should keep some courses online or everything should be in person?
I mean, I'd prefer to be everything in person, but that's just me. I just find learning in a class environment really beneficial. So.
Me also. Monday was, as if it is my first day at school when I was teenager, because yeah, we returned back to the campus. I have been giving online courses for 2 years, so it was nice to be back. Bryden, are you here? Oh, we can't hear you, Bryden, if you are here. Okay, it seems that you have problem with the mic. I can see that you are deactivating your mic. I don't know. It's okay. Norman, are you here? Also, Norman, I can't hear you. I don't know.
Hello, is it working now?
Yeah, it's perfect now. It's working now.
All right, awesome.
How are you today?
I'm doing really good.
So I just asked Gerson about this was the first week to return back for in-person courses. What do you think about it?
I'm really excited to start going back into person. Unfortunately for me, I believe all my courses are still fully online, but next semester I'm really excited to get back there.
Yeah, hope so. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, who is Norman or Braden?
Norman, yeah.
Yeah, Norman. How are you, Norman?
Oh, I'm doing quite fine.
Welcome
A little
to the club.
happier that I figured what the problem was.
How was your day so far?
Oh, it's going pretty good. Just had class right before this, so I'm really excited to see what's going on with this class.
Yeah, I think it is your first participation with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be an excited one, but even though I was preferring to do it in campus, to have more, yeah, because such kind of online courses, attendance is optional. But I will send a reminder today, and maybe people who are going to see this video, I will start sharing with you a file for bonus grade for people who participate in group work and have a solution for this. So I have already planned to give them bonus in order that encourage people who can join us, and who can, this is okay. But again, any person can join the live session. It will be a good opportunity to discuss the material, and if you had any question from the old lecture, to go ahead and ask questions. Again, according to the rules, it is asynchronous online, which means that there is no attendance, but it's highly recommended that who can attend the course in order to participate in different group work exercises that will take place in this case. I will send more email about it. I think that students for online courses need always to send them reminder. And today I should group you down to different groups. I haven't done it, but I think now Norman was the last person to join the class. I think that even though there are still some students in the waiting list, but there is no any more capacity to anyone. So I think that the list now is stable, and I can break you down to different groups because the project will be group-based. And I think that it will be better starting from now, since you don't know each other, start communicating before I will publish the project guideline. I will not publish the project guideline now. I will keep it maybe 2 to 3 weeks more to get more course materials. But this week also we will have our first assignment. I have already finished it, so I can't publish it this week or the next one. No, but I'll publish it this week. I think, yes, this week we should publish now the first assignment. since also the list of the student is stable somehow. So this week I will break you down to group work, a group, let's say group work groups that you use this mainly for the project, and also I publish assignment 1, and I will give you 1 week for the assignment delivery. All the assignment deliverable are individual, which means it is not a group one, so I don't expect, you should expect that each one has to do it alone. And let's do it with each other in a very transparent way, so each one has to try what he can do the assignment. Don't go ahead and imitate or copy paste from others, because it will be a good opportunity to practice this. And normally the student who has taken before with me courses, I'm an easygoing person with the grading. However, I like to be honest with all, and others will be honest with me, which means that sometimes I will give you full grade to the assignment, even though not everything correct, because I feel that this student has made an effort, so I will help him. However, but sometimes if I can see that there are so much matching between different assignments, so a big question will be arise in this case. And the last point I want to discuss, or I want to announce it for the people who's going to watch this video, that still, if you have a question after you watch videos and check the lecture materials, you can go ahead and join the virtual office hour. I published the Zoom meeting in the Blackboard. So, however, just drop me an email to book for you a time slot. And of course, if you want to have a physical meeting with me, you can go ahead to my office. I have already also published the drop-in office hour. Unfortunately, my office is in Chilliwack. So in this case, you are going to meet me in Chilliwack campus or pick up the virtual office hour. So the last time we have already talked about Java classes method and Java class constructors, modifiers, and encapsulation was the last topic we discussed the last time. So the last time when we talked about modifier, we talked about how many restrictions we can go ahead and do it for the class level, or the method and the function that we are going to define in the class. One of these restrictions, for example, is related to inheritance. And we said that the next lecture, which is today, we will talk about inheritance. The inheritance is the main, let's say, the main topic when we talk, or the basic concept about OOP, object-oriented, because the OOP concept is based on having a class, and then you can go ahead and create an instance from a class, which is the object. Also, the other concept is you can have different generations of the class, which you have a class extend another class. We don't have somehow to be confused between creating an object from a class or extending a class from another class. Creating an object from a class, we are creating an instance from this actual class. So it is not another class, it is just an instance. And this instance will have its own values for the predefined variables that we have in the class. However, when we talk inheritance, we are creating another class that will inherit all the predefined methods and variables that they are defined in the original or the base or the parent class that we name it. So this is why we talk about first about Java packages, then we talk about inheritance, then we talk about polymorphism. It is another concept in Java, and it is somehow related to inheritance. And we will finish with Java inner classes, and also this is related to inheritance concept that we are going to discuss today. Norman, do you have time to check the old lectures if you have any question?
So far I haven't actually watched the videos, but I've went through all of the previous notes, and I've written my own based off of that. So I plan on watching the videos today, actually.
Okay, so if you still have any question, go ahead and drop me an email. I will be happy to answer yours. And as I said, you can just, you have another opportunity to have one-to-one meeting with me using Virtual Office.
Thank you very much.
You will be always welcome. Kerson, what about you? Any feedback, any question from the old lecture before we start?
Nope. I'm ready to learn.
Braden.
Me as well. I'm ready to go.
Perfect. Wilson, welcome here.
Hi. Yeah, I have no questions. I'm good.
Perfect. How are you today, Wilson?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain.
Oh, okay, that's good. Okay, let's start. So first, let's talk about what we mean by packages. Packages and API, somehow they are related to each other. We will talk more about this. So when we talk about packages, so far we know that a Java application, it is a set of files, and each file can be a class or set of classes. So we can say that when we talk about a Java as an application, so it is a set of classes. However, normally there are some methods that we use it from a predefined class. So when we start implementing our own project or application, so we will create our new class, and we can also use a predefined methods. We can create our own method, or we can use predefined methods. These predefined methods, as far as we know that methods and variables should be within a class. So when I talk about predefined methods, they are being implemented and also defined and declared in a predefined class. So set of these classes will make a package in this case. So this is why we will say that packages in Java, it can be two types of packages. Either we will have the inbuilt packages, or we will have the user-defined packages. What I said so far is the inbuilt packages, which means that there's have set of classes where there is a method is being defined, and we just use them. And this is the inbuilt packages is part from the Java API that will come with the Java environment which is we name it JDK when we install it. This JDK will have the Java virtual machine where the compiler is plus the predefined Java API, and we can use them. Or when we create our own application, and if it will be a huge application, we will have a lot of classes. So we can organize our code by building a package or different packages, and under each package we will have the classes that we have already created it. So the terminology package is set of classes. Either a predefined classes that will come with the Java API when we install the Java environment, or we can build our own packages based on the classes that we are creating or defining in our application. So the Java API in this case is a library of a pre-written classes that are free in use. What I said by a free in use, here there is a word library. So we are familiar with the class. We know what is a class, set of variables and methods talking about the same subject or concept. We now know what you mean by a package. And there is a word, it can be used in Java, library. Library in this case would be set of packages. So methods and variables will be in a class. Set of classes will be a package. Set of packages will make a library in this case. And So as written here, so if we can see that library is divided into packages, it contains classes. Either we will import a single class or we import the whole package. We will see an example. In Java API, nowadays there are more than 4,400 APIs available in Java programming. So you can go ahead and pick them and choose them. For example, there is API concerning database connection. There is API concerning networking. There is API concerning web services. So there are a huge amount of API that can be used. And without having this API, we will not have such kind of popularity for this programming language. So one of the parameters to assess a programming language, how many predefined packages or API are there within this environment or community. So JSON now, it will not be so much popular in the web services and web programming community without having a huge number of API that we can build our software using them. This is a small list of well-known API and the very basic one. There is more advanced. You can go ahead and see it here. So, for example, this is Java and contain language support for the classes, and also define primitive like mass. So this will have here, for example, the mass class where you are going to have huge amount of different methods is being here. So you go ahead and use them in this case. So there is Java input output. And normally we use it to read write from the user. Java UTIL, in this case, it's used for date time operation. .NET, it's used for class supporting networking application. Again, there is a huge set of them, but this is just the simple popular basic one that we normally are going to see in our life. Okay, so now the big question will say how we are going to import a class. So as I said here, we can import a single class or we can import a whole package. The word import, which means that in order to use the functions, because we said in the package we will have two types. Either we create our own package, this is only to organize our code, or we can use a predefined one. So far we know that a package is a set of classes. So in order to use this predefined one, we should import. Either we will import, this is, for example, this is a package name. It's mentioned here. And it is built-in package. It will come with a Java environment. So either I can import all the package by using the star one that we will see it later, or I can choose a specific class from it. Because here, in this example, I want to print out for the user. Use this system.out.println, which means to print out for the user. And if I need also to get an input from the user here, so I need to use a scanner. A scanner, it is just, if we will not create an interface, it is a very basic way to get an input from the user. So in this case, we are going to create an object we name from the scanner class. Because as so far we know that in order to use a method, we need to create an object from the same class. Else this method, it is a static one. But even though it will be a static one and it is defined in a special class in a package, we have to import this class or we will get error and can't use it. So without importing this scanner, we can go ahead and create my object as a scanner. And this is, by the way, who people that are not familiar with Java. So this is a scanner object like Cin in C++, if you are familiar with more about C++ in this case. If you want to import a package, there are many packages to choose, as I said. So in this case, I have another option rather than go and importing a class. So I can import the whole package, which means in this case, I can use the whole method in all classes. I will use this option whenever I will use more than one class in this package. So in this case, I can, using this *1, I will import all classes here. So what about what I mean by user-defined package? So far what we have already seen is when we are going to create a package, that about predefined one. So, however, if we later, after we create different classes, we want to organize our code in a way that each set of classes talking about the same concept, I can put them in a package. So in this case, I can use the word package. I'm not importing a built-in package. I'm creating a package for the classes that I'm creating in the project. So I can use the word package, give it a name, and in this case, this class now is included in this package. When we know, the question will come to our mind now. So when we need to have a package, again, it depends about the volume of your project. And if you are going to create a library that the other can be used. So as if you are building API, sometimes you have a project and others need to access or use the methods that you have already created it. So rather than publishing your code as an application, you will publish it as a library or an API. In this case, you need to use packages so people can import the package, then import the class to use your API or your code in this case. This is one of the reasons that you have to put your code within a packages, or you have to use this. It's kind of organizing your code in this case. So let's go start with inheritance now. Again, we don't be confused between creating object, which is instance from a class, and creating another class that extends this class. This is what we name it by extend the fruit. So, extend the class. Like this example, we have class Apple extend the fruit. So we are creating another class. In this case, the child class, which is here the Apple one, will have all the methods and variable in it. We don't have to declare it again, just we can use the extend word. Plus, we can create more variables and more methods that are related to this class. So, and normally this is, we'll go to Java inheritance. Why? So it's kind of like always you said, reusing of the code. So if you will have, let's say, variety between different classes, and they have a common set of methods and variables, so you can put them in the superclass, and then you can extend all of them to this superclass, So in this case, you don't have to write the name of the methods or to declare the methods again in these classes in the child one. And you can add to this the special one or the more specific one that they are talking or related to this one in this case. Let's take more examples about this. So here, in Java, we will have different types of inheritance. The simplest one is single. Single one, that means that we have only one class, we're talking about only one class that extend another class. So only one class that extend one, like here. So we will have a class fruit that has a method taste that print out fruit out street. Then we create another class. Again, we don't be confused between classes and file. So does it mean that you have more than one class, you have to create different files? In the same Java file, you can have more than one class. However, if you have a main method, the name of the file should be the same name of the class where the main method is. Like in this case, so I can have one file including all this. However, the file name should be in this case inheritance example, even though I have more than one class. Here I have three classes. The class that includes the main one, and the class that has the fruit, and the apple that extend the fruit. And also you can have different files for them. So it's up to you how you organize your code. So again, this class fruit has a method taste, and another class, I said apple extend fruit, had another method shape. Now I have a question for you. How many methods we have in apple? Do you have only shape?
You have two methods.
What they are?
Taste and shape.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kirsten. So we have two methods now, taste and shape. Even though we didn't declare again here the method, since we use the extend operator, the extend keyword, in this case, this is a child now, it will inherit. So the word inherit now, it has all what's a parent plus the new methods or variables that you are going to declare. And this is one of the powerful way how you can reuse the code. So I don't have to, again, declare this taste here. So because this is a child, so it will inherit the taste method from the upper or parent class. So returning here to the main method, so I create here an apple one. So here the apple, if you can see, this is an apple object. It is not a fruit object. However, I can call .taste.shape. So using an object from the child, I'm calling a method that is being declared in the parent because there is inheritance. So in this case, I should expect this is two output here. Fruits are sweet, apple is round. This will be the output of this program. Let's go to the, as I said, fruits are sweet, apple is round. Let's go now to multi-level inheritance. So multi-level inheritance means that you will have a child, a parent, and let's name it and grandparent. So we'll have we can have different level of inheritance. So in this case, we can see from this example here, we will have a class, we name it four-wheeler. We have a method here, wheels, and then car will extend four-wheeler. So it have another method type, and then we will have a third class, Maruti, extend car, and have compound. So Braden, I have a question for you. So Maruti, so how many methods are there?
There are 3 for this one.
Yes, perfect. There are 3 for this. This is what we did here. So we can call 3 different methods because it can inherit all the methods of the ancestors in here. I want to be clear for you and for all people that are going to watch this video that the aim from this is, again, how we can reuse the code, not to implement the same method again in different places. This is why maybe, yeah, if you are going to take more courses later about object-oriented analysis and design, I have already given this course in the fall. If you have time, go ahead and watch the video. I will keep them as a public video. There we talked about when you have a real-life case scenario project, how you can think in an object-oriented way when you design the classes that you needed. Design it in a way you can see which class should be the parent and which should be the child. In order, when you write your code again, don't try the same methods in different places. From the beginning, I said that the lighter your code is, the lighter, which is less heavy number of lines, the better your code is. It doesn't mean that I can see a huge amount of sentences. It means that I have a good code or a good implementation. Because the more lines, the more execution time, the more complexity it is your software it is. And based on my experience with different students will not think that sometimes they will see it is just theory talking about. No, you should be aware about it and practice yourself, not only to implement using OOP concept. First, you make an analysis and design. Yeah, I know in this level of these courses, you are just giving you a direct task and use implementation. But later, because the software development is a cycle, starts from collecting the requirement till you will go make a testing, passing by collecting requirement and make this analysis and make a design. For example, use different UML object-oriented design, and then we can change this to a code. So you should be aware about how I can implement this, and later you will be more aware how I can design the classes I needed in a way that I will use object-oriented implementation. Because object-oriented implementation will help you to reuse different pieces of your code, and in this case you will have a more organized code, lighter one, and less complex one in this case. So the third one is hierarchical inheritance. Hierarchical doesn't mean we have to go to a different level, which means that the same class, it's not like single, we can have different child class for it. So you can extend from this vehicle class as much class as you want. Doesn't mean that you have to extend only one by one. No. So here we have the vehicle one, and then we can bike extended, car extended, all the extending this the vehicle one. So each one, and this is normally we will see it so much because the aim from it's not the aim in order to have only one single, because when we will go to inheritance, it means that we will have different classes that they have something common and they have diversity. In this case, the common methods that we will have we will put it in the parent class, and then we are going to later to each class define the standing alone or the special method or the specific method that this class needed. So this is the most popular. You will see it later when you go to real life examples and real project. So you will have hierarchical inheritance, which means that you will have one class and you have diversity classes or different methods that you will see there. So, and then when we call this, so like all examples before, so you can create an object from any class you will have here, like here the scooter one. And you, for example, you will use, or you can call the methods that are defined here and also that are defined here. Again, there is no, which means that this is here, for example, count WL, so it's only related to this bike one. Car that doesn't have an access to it. So if you want to use it in this class, you have to create an object from this class to use this method, if it is public also, in this case. We can use the parent one plus your own in this class we are talking about. Now, the fourth and least one, and we should here, Brainy is asking us, multiple inheritance, it's not like hierarchical inheritance. Hierarchical inheritance, we have only one parent class, and we can have different child for the same parent. Multiple inheritance, and again, don't be with a multi-level, so don't be confused with different terminology. Multi-level, we are talking about that we have different level, we have a parent, child, grandparent. And we will have more level if you want. But hierarchical, we will have different child for the same parent. Here we are talking multiple inheritance. So we will have one child, but it has two parents at the same time. Brainy is asking us, can we have multiple inheritance in Java? Well, can we have such kind of inheritance based on what we have already discussed so far? So Norman, Kerson, Braden, or Wilson, anyone can have an answer for Brainy for this? Okay, Wilson, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Could you repeat the question again? Sorry.
Yeah, no worry. The question said, we have already discussed 3 types of inheritance so far. The one before was about hierarchical inheritance. So we will have different child for the same parent.
Mm-hmm.
And the one before we will have here like a multi-level, but one by one. Now the question that we name it multiple inheritance. We have a child, but for 2 parents. Is this possible in Java? This is a question.
I'm guessing yes. Maybe you could have like half the code from each parent.
Okay. Let's okay, thank you, Wilson. So I will ask the others and we will go ahead and make a discussion. Braden, what do you think?
Yes, I believe you can use multiple inheritance in Java.
Okay. Kerson.
I would say yes, but maybe I'm wrong. Because you could probably just put extends one class, and then after that, you say that extension, you just put another extends. Then
no, in this case, it will not be multi-level. It will be here, it will be multi-level, not multiple inheritance, what you are saying now. So you extend this, and then you will go, this extends this. This is another
No, I
scenario.
mean, like, after you call the extends, you just do another extends for the same.
Yeah, this is what we are saying. So we are making 2 extend at the same time, at the same level. So C extend A and extend B at the same time. We're not talking about C extend A extend B. We're talking C is a child for a 2 parent in this case.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. you will go to yes or no? You will go to yes.
I think yes, but this might be a trick question.
Okay. So what I can feel from you, so what you are saying that you don't know yes or no, but you feel it is a tricky one, so it may be no in this case.
Yeah, this might be some reverse psychology.
Yeah, this is what I can see. Norman, what about you, Norman? What do you think?
I'm not too sure, actually. I'd probably lean more over to saying yes.
Okay. So unfortunately, you are wrong. So if we are talking about the classes, only we can do it using interfaces. So if A and B are classes, we can't do it. They should be interfaces. The next time we'll talk about interfaces. What we mean by interfaces is there's not a class. It's something. It is an abstract one. It is also not abstract class. It is abstract, which means that it can have a methods, but without implementation. All the methods in interface are without implementation. Just you declare. For example, you said sum, but you don't say what sum will do. It will be an abstract method. So if we are talking about the classes, it cannot be in Java. If you are talking about interfaces, it can be. I will talk with you. Let's why we can. Brain will answer for us why we can't have this between the classes. The reason is to prevent ambiguity. What do you mean by ambiguity here? Let's suppose that here in this A and B have a method named display. However, since they are two different classes, they have the same method display, but each display will work in different way. So the first display will display the word hello, and the second display will display the word word. So the display method in A will print out hello, and the display method in B will print out word. So now if C will extend these two classes, so C has an access for the display in B and have an access for display in A. Will it inherit the display method from A and display method from B? So later when I will call the display method, and they have the same input parameter, so 100% the same definition, no parameter, for example, but each display will print out different word in this case. So if I will go later to create an object from C and call method display, what it will display? It will display hello or word. So it will be ambiguous to your compiler. What's it going to display? Because it will inherit the same method, the same definition, the same argument from two different places, and this method will give different output. We are not talking about overloading or overridden when we will change the way the method will work. This is something else, because this will be related to the object or where we will see it. This is polymorphism. But in this case, it is impossible to do it in this case. This is why Java will not accept to have multiple inheritance. However, we can have a multiple inheritance, but A should be interface and B should be interface. When we will have interface, so the methods like display here, it will be abstract method which has nothing to do. In C, we can implement what the method will do in this case. Is it okay? Any question about this? Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. So C would be the interface between A and
No,
B?
A and B will be the interface in this case.
Okay, so C would have
C
a method,
will not,
but it wouldn't like say what it's doing.
yes,
And then A
in this
and B.
case,
Okay.
in this case, C will implement the method, because we know so far, we discussed this the last time, there is difference between defining or declaring a method or implementing a method. You can define a method display. It will be an abstract one. We will talk more about abstract interface next lecture. And then if it is abstract method, it do nothing. So in this case, if C will inherit different methods from different interfaces, in this case, we will not say extend, we will say implement, we will use implement. We will see it next lecture. So no ambiguity will happen in this case, because there is this method, it has no definition, it do nothing. In C, I will define this method what will do. Is it clear, Kirsten?
Yeah, that makes more sense. Thanks.
Okay. So, the final point we are going to discuss it inheritance is the final keyword. And this is, I think, that the last in the lecture before we talked about the final, and we said that inheritance we will see it. Final keyword, if I use it here, it is kind of a modifier. So it means that this class I can't make inheritance. No inheritance can be done for this. So if I have a class and it is a final one, and the class car extend vehicle, sorry. If I go to my compiler, it will give me an error. Cannot inherit from final vehicle. So final as a modifier will make a restriction in this class and no more extension can be done and no inheritance can be done in this. So all final classes, we cannot inherit from them when they have a final as a modifier. Polymorphism. Polymorphism, because we have inheritance, we can use polymorphism. Because in OOP, we can have different objects from the same class. We can talk about polymorphism. So this word polymorphism is, I think it is a Latin word that's talk about polymorph or poly, which means that you will have many forms. Like, for example, we say that this employee will do different tasks or have different job description. And normally, he or she who will be secretary, always they will say, okay, we don't know what is our job description, we do many things. So we can have, for the same method, different implementation. More about this, so this is Peter Parker, we can say it is polymorphic. Why? Because this one person can have different job description. Sometimes he'll be Spider-Man, sometimes he'll be a high school student. So it is a polymorphic person in this case. So again, when we talk about polymorphic word, we are talking about having different form or different behavior. And when we talk about behavior, we're talking about methods in this case. So do we have this in Java? Yes, we have this. So Java will allow for the same method to do multiple different things. We name it overloading. And when we will have inheritance, it will allow us to override the parent method, which means to change the definition of the method that this child had already inherited from it. So let's start with so in the polymorphism, we have something we name compile time polymorphism or runtime polymorphism. This is talk more about overloading and this talk more about overriding. So compile time or static polymorphism, methods of overloading. Overloading here in this case, we will have the same method, but with different behavior based on the parameter passed. So this is why this will happen in the compiler time. When you are compiling your code, you will have method X. Sometimes it have int A, int B. Some have float A, float B. Sometimes we'll have float int A. So you will have different copy from the same method, even though you don't have inheritance, the same class. However, it has the same name, but different behavior based on the parameter how you define it. So you can define different behavior for the same method, however, not having the same parameter. So you will connect the behavior according to the parameter that you are going later to pass. This is method overloading in this case. So here, suppose that you have a class, we name it Polymorphic Calculator. We can define the same class. We are not talking about inheritance, the same class. The same method name. However, we have different parameters. Here we'll have a parameter integer A, integer B. So your compiler, before you will run, it has to build it first. When it builds, it will build two versions for add. One version will take integer, integer, and another version float and float. And later when you will call this method, based on how you will pass, what kind of parameters you are going to pass, you will get the behavior related to this. So if it is here, you will pass float, you will get an output with a return float. If you pass here integer, you will get an output with a return integer one. So here, for example, so we have this, and then we are going to create an object from this method to use it. And then when we use this, we will pass 3.5, and here we'll pass 3.5.6. So it is the same method. And here we will get an output 8. Here we'll get an output 9.1. Because here we used this version, and here we use this version. So we can have different versions for the same method by having different parameters in the same class. This is, we name it method overloading, or we name it something we name compile time, because during building your code, your compiler will build different versions for this method. The second type that we can deal with it is runtime or dynamic polymorphism, because this will be more related later to the object that is going to call this method from which class it will come. This is, we name it method overriding. And this is happen when we'll have inheritance. So we have a class animal, and it has a method named animal sound. So, and then I extend this. So this is a child and this is a parent now. And I said, okay, this class pig that extends this. If you see, I didn't change the parameter. I keep the same parameter. This is override. However, I change as a child, he can change the implementation of the parent method. We are not building different version by passing different parameters like we did before. We are changing the implementation of a method that this method was defined before in the parent class. So when now here go, this is another one. This is another. So we have here animal, and it has two classes, pig and dog. And the same method that was being here defined before, here we will have another implementation, and here we'll have another implementation in this case. So we didn't change, again, we didn't change the definition of the language of the method, still the same parameter. So just we change how it will be later, how it's going to the behavior or what is the output for this. So this is, we name it method overriding. Why we name it runtime or dynamic polymorphism? Because when you compile your code, okay, you will have the same name but the different behaviors. However, later, when you are going to create a different object, so the output will be based on the object that you have already created it. So the output here will be first. Sorry, just give me a second. So the output will be for this one. Since it is animal one, it will be the output here. The animal make a sound. The output, the other one here, animal sound my pig. Here the output will be the pig says. The third one will be my dog here. The output will be for this. So the output of this method, it will be based in the object that you are going to use it to call this method. And since this object comes from this class, and this class will make an overriding for this method, so your output will be related how this method is being already overridden in this class. So this is the two main version about polymorphism. Again, we will have two different versions. The first version talk more about method overloading, and this is we will do it in the same method, and in the same method, whenever we can have different parameters, in this case we are building different versions of the method, and when talk about the runtime, we will have inheritance, and each child can change the behavior of the method without changing the parameters in this case. And it can change also the parameter, but no need to change the parameter. And then when you will run your software, your compiler will know what is the behavior based on the object, that is calling this method. I hope this is clear for all of us. Again, if you have, this is what you have already said. If you have any question, go ahead and ask me. So the last part for today, before we go to have some practice exercise, is Java inner class. Java inner class is also related to, it cannot be related direct to inheritance, but we can use it for inheritance or with or without. So you can create another class within the same class. So if you can see that there are different classes, you can group one in the same class. And in this case, they will have access if for example, if based on the scope of this class in this case. Like here, we'll have outer class, then we have inner class here. And now here, we created an object from outer class. We name it my outer. And then this is from the outer one. If I want to access an object from this class, I have to go outer.inner class my inner to create this object, and later I can go ahead and access the parameters who have here, or the method in this case. So based on this, we can use different modifier for this. For example, the one here, we said that if there is no modifier, it will be default one. But we can enforce a special modifier like here. So if you don't want outside object to access the inner class, declare the class as a private. So here, we created my outer the same like before, fetched from the upper level class. And then we go ahead and do this. So what do you think here? What will happen? We will get the same output, or there's something else will happen here? Yeah, Braden. Braden, are you still here?
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, so my question, what do you think? We will get the same output like before here? So it is the same code, I didn't change anything here. Or there's something else, or there is an error. What do you think? What we change here, there was a default one here. Here we change the private one. You have any idea what will happen here?
Yeah, no, I'm not too sure.
It's okay. We will get an error right in here. Why we will get an error? Because we said it is a private one. So since it's a private one, this is the outer one, can't have an access to it in this case. So we will get in this case, we will have a problem about accessing it from the outer one, outer scope, because it is private.
So how would you call it then if the outer class can't call it?
Yeah, this is a good question. So how will, in this case, how we can call it or can use it? In this case, it should be here. We are going only just to use it here. We can go outside of the class and access the resources that we will have it. If we need to do it, then we have to change it to public one or keep it to the default one. So in this case, we just can work inside this class if we will keep it private here. And there is another one, if you remember. That, okay, even though here, since the holy class is a private, even when we'll make a public and get, still will have a problem how to access this public get and set. So this is why in this case, if we do it a private, we just have some internal use here in this case. We can't use it out the scope of the private one.
Oh, so you just make get and set methods in order to like use its stuff?
Yeah, but the get and set method in this case will be public one.
Yeah.
In order to access in this case, as we did before.
Okay.
Okay, so the static inner one, the last one here we can talk about it is somehow the static inner one. So here, an inner class can be also static. Again, the modifier that we talked about it. Like the static inner method, a static inner class doesn't have access to members of the outer class. So it means that, you remember what I mean by static? Static doesn't talk about like public and protected. Carson, do you remember static?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so when you talk about static, what does it mean?
It means that you don't, well, at least for a method, you don't need to create an object in order to use the method. And I'm guessing
this is if you talk about static method, what about a static class?
Well, for a static class, you wouldn't have to, because it's nested. Usually you'd need to create a object of the outer class in order to create an inner class or an inner object. But if the inner class is static, then you wouldn't need to create an outer object in order to access.
Yeah, so in this case, the inner doesn't have access to the outer. We're not talking about the inner doesn't have access to the outer. The outer still, but the inner one can go and access the outer one in this case. Okay. Here, the last one is access outer class from the inner class. We are accessing the outer from the inner here. The examples before was accessing the outer from the inner. Sorry, accessing the inner using the outer. So here, let's take this example. We will have, this is the outer one. If you see here the scope of this class here, this one. Maybe the way I did it because of the, just doesn't have enough enough space here. So let's start from here. We have a class outer here. We have integer x equal 10. So here the inner class. And so here in this inner class, we define a method, inner method, return x. This is the scope of the inner class. Sorry. This is the scope. Oh, this is the scope of the inner class. So if you see here, I create an object outer. and I create my inner class, which is from the inner one, there is no restriction or all default modifier, no restriction here, no static, no restriction, no private, so they are all default. So I create an object from the inner class, and then using this inner one, I can go ahead and use this one. And also, sorry, yeah, and also I can access the outer one also in this case, if there is, it's not mentioned here, but I can also do it in this case, the outer one in this case. I can access the outer one using in this case one. Okay. We are done with the lecture, but I think that you can practice one, but I will give you a practice one, an easy one, before we will leave today. It will give you all more about a bunch of code. I want you to find the error. Oh, he said he will, angry is waiting us outside. So what do you think? Let's go to the private room now. I will be with you. I will give you space to discuss it. And then we will be back to the main room to discuss the code in this case. So we can be only in one room, all of us. Let me show you what I want you to do it. Again, if you give me a correct solution, I will give you bonus for the assignment in this case. So we will have, this is 4 questions. It will be good practice for you. You can go ahead and write the code, or just tell me if there is an error, where the error, and why this error. So we will go to the room and discuss it there. I give you space to discuss it with each other, and then we'll be back here. Are you okay with this?
Sounds good.
Yep, let's go.
Are we supposed to go by ourselves, or?
Yeah, sure. Just I created a room and it's now opening, so we will do
okay.
all that. Sometimes it takes time for opening the room, but it is opening it now. Okay. Let's go one by one. I will share my screen and then we will discuss it one by one. So first, this. You can see my screen, guys, yeah?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So the first one, again, if each class, I prefer when you go to do it, to create for each class a file, to have it a well-organized coding as it's being here already being differentiated that we will have different class. So the best way to do it that each class we create a file for this. Still we can make a nested one, but I prefer to do it as then each one has created its own file when we go to implementation. Let's start with the first one. The first one said, if there is an error, where the error? So we have two classes. Let's start with the A1. The A1 had a private integer A, had a two public set. So, guys, do you see an error here?
Yes.
Okay, what's the error?
In the main method, you're trying to call object a.a, but the integer that you're trying to call is private, so you don't have access to it. And then you're also trying to change it, which you can't do.
So in this case, we should call object.getA, calling this public method in this case.
Yeah, after
That will
object
return.
a.a equals, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, let's go to the second one. So we have a class here, almost similar to the first one. We have a set, we have a get. Now let's go to the second class, which is the main one. In this case, we have object a.a equal plus, which means that it's plus. We are make concatenation. Print out object a as a string plus. Make plus in Java. We are make concatenation to two strings. So get a. So there is error here.
Yes.
What is the error?
The main method doesn't have proper access to the get a method.
Yeah, because get a method is not a static one. In Java, if a method is not a static one, we should create an object from the same class where it is being already declared and call it using this object. So in this case, we should say object a.getA, not directly access the getA. You agree?
Yes.
So you are somehow almost together bonus. Let's see. So here, if there is an error here,
Yes.
go ahead, tell me.
Okay, so the first thing that I noticed, at least, that came up to mind was that you're trying to store an integer value into a double value. Probably not it, but
Where it is this?
double result equals object a dot get a.
Oh, first let's start with the class A. This is
okay.
integer, no set A, everything okay, I can see you. Go here, object A, so dot get A.
So we have access to it, yeah.
Yeah, but even though if it is, we are putting integer in a double, not a double in integer.
Yeah, that's what I meant, sorry.
So, is there an error?
Yeah, no, there wouldn't be, because you can store an integer in a double.
Yeah, I have already written here. So this is, I create two files. First the A1. Here's the class. Here's a private A. Set get. And then this is the main method, the class was the main method. So double, then put it here, and then let me run it now. So build success, it gives me object A equal 100.
Okay.
So it works. No, there's no error in this. As I said, I prefer that you use that always, and you do go ahead, create for each class a file as I did here now. So the last one will be this one. If there is an error here, you get the bonus because you solved 3 out of 4, as we have already agreed. Each one will get a bonus +5 in the assignment grade. So tell me, is there an error here?
I'm looking at the A, but it's also in the class. So when you're trying to make it A equals 123, it already has access to it, so it can do that. Private integer
Yes,
A.
perfect.
Oh,
What? Yeah, you are correct. So because A, you can't access to it, we have to create an object from class A to access a variable A.
yeah.
So how we can solve this? Creating an object. If there is another solution.
A.A equals 123.
Yeah, this is one of the solutions. You are correct. Is there another solution?
Yeah, you could create an object from A.
Yeah, this is the first. This is a solution. I said, if I don't want to create an object from A, if there is another solution.
You could just use set A or A dot set A. A equals value, or like you could just use the set A.
Perfect. Is there another solution?
You could change it to static.
But even set and get, we need to create an object for to call them. So
oh, I see.
If you don't want to create an object, we can change A as a static variable. So we can go ahead and use it without an object in this case. Do you agree?
Yeah, but would you just be saying A dot A or just A?
Just A, because it is a static one.
Okay, but then which A would you be referring to? Because there's 2 now, right?
Yeah, this is another point. So if the first one of B is not static, unstatic, and then you have an A static one, so if you use directly A, it will go to the static one of A.
Okay.
Yes.
But then if you said B dot A, like if you wanted to change,
you will go to the A of B in this case.
Okay, how would you do that?
Yeah, because in this case, but by the way, when you create an array, when there is a static variable in A, and then you again define it again as non-static, there's there's something here very important, we can discuss it. So if we create a static variable A, and because I didn't take care about here the inheritance that we have it here, and by default B will inherit the static variable A. Is it correct?
Yes.
Careful. So in this case, in B, you can't make any change to A. Even though you can't assign any change for this, because it's static one. So there will not be another A and B in this case.
Oh, okay.
You will only use the A of A. There will be A and B, but since it is defined as a static in the parent A, you can't make any change to it in B.
Okay.
Just you can use it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for today. Do you have any more questions to me today?
No, not for me.
Wilson, Norman.
I have a question. When will we be receiving our first assignment?
This week. This is what I said in the beginning. This week,
okay.
I will publish our first assignment. It will be individual one, and I will group you down into different different groups. Now the list of the student is stable, so I can go ahead and break you down to different groups for the project. Plus, I can start publishing the assignment. So this week you will have your first assignment in this case.
All right, thank you.
Perfect. Okay, guys, enjoy the rest of the day. Have a nice afternoon and evening.
You too.
You as well. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Take care, you.